Lobster Magnet. Lobster's a 10, I told you grab it.
What's up?
Welcome to Lobster Magnets Review, the channel to review. I'm here with my buddies Gorogregoro
Hey.
and Zavule.
Yo.
So we are here to talk about Chapter 50 of The Promised Neverland. And if you've been following our series of reviews, you will notice that one of the things we talked about as a possibility has finally come to fruition.
Yes.
We have been given the vision of mass market human children grown in a farm, and I love it. Oh my god, I love this series.
This fucking saved the series for me. Holy shit.
That was so great.
I'm so happy.
There was a little bit of a rough patch, but like, you know, it was like, man, wouldn't that be cool if like the demons just like, if these are like the home range, you know, home range humans that are like fed to like Whole Foods, then like, what are the other humans are? Where do the demons get their human meat from, like Burger King?
Where does the McDonald's of this universe get its meat? And oh, that's where they get it. Oh, that's so good. That's the Promised Neverland I know and love. The just terrible exploitation of small children with no mercy
I wonder
whatsoever.
I wonder
no language,
no
no sense of self, nothing but a fucking like IV tube. Although you know what that is just that is so much.
The imagery
better.
was so awesome to say too.
I just have this vision of like Emma trying to save them. They're
just like a bunch
like
of
these
like
feral pigs.
You think they'd be feral pigs? I think they'd be like
I don't even think they would
children.
be that good if they're just like restrained. They'd probably be like veal. They just kind of lay there.
Yes.
They wouldn't even be able to move if they haven't been able to exercise or anything.
Yeah,
They would have like no muscle. They couldn't move. They couldn't do anything other than like eat, and that's like it.
Just to become like the Burger King of the meat, and like the demons are. God, I love that little detail of like whatchamacallit, the cattle raids. That like some of the demons are like so fucking hungry that they like raid the mass-produced facilities just so that they can fucking eat the produce.
Yeah,
like
I like that.
Quite
detail.
frankly, that those children are like those like the modern breed of chicken that are like so fat.
I was
and,
just
and
about to say that.
sedentary that they're like their feet break and then they just kind of lay in their own filth until they're eaten. That's basically what we're looking at here.
I wonder if this is a commentary towards that. Actually, now that I've analyzed this chapter, thinking like, okay, maybe this is like a commentary on like what our farming is like, what like actual human farming is like, because they do breed chickens kind of almost scarily similarly to like the children like that we saw in this chapter.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong. Like that is actually a curious question. Like I do kind of wonder if the guy writing this is vegetarian or vegan.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that's more effective than anything Pete has done so far.
Yeah. Oh my god, have you seen like the recent things about PETA, like how they actually euthanize animals in their...
Oh god, that's been around for a while. Yeah, they fucking do that shit.
As opposed to like spending their money on like fucking Mario parody games or like
yeah. Like what? We have like 50 kittens or something. I put them the fuck down. We need to pay for that fucking Tanuki-san and
Oh god.
game. What? We saved a bunch of dogs. Fuck it, just kill them.
Oh my
We
god.
don't have money to pay for that like Pokemon parody, motherfuckers.
Oh god, that is
It's
so
for the greater
fucking
good,
That
guys.
reminds me. Oh god, do you ever hear about like when PETA went after like $40K for like we're having like animal skins on the Space Marines?
What?
Really?
Yes, I'm 100% serious. PETA had like a campaign that was directly targeted getting the 40K universe because so many of the Space Marines wear like animal pelts.
I don't think anyone would care that plays 40K. Like for fuck's sake, they're basically just like murderous sociopaths in space. The entire world is terrible.
Yeah, it's like the dumbest campaign they ever did.
They were fur in space when, I mean, considering all of the other animal abuse and human abuse and literally everything else, I cannot imagine that is what they chose to focus on.
Oh god, just like so.
It's like the most dumb, inconsequential kind of branding.
They're wearing animals, you guys, animals. You know they lobotomize people and turn them into computers, right? They're wearing animals, you guys.
In the universe that specializes in being the dark, the darkest, timeline where everything is horrible and miserable. You think of the animals.
Yeah. God damn it, you guys! Way to fucking miss the point.
Yeah, which is like bringing it back to Promised Neverland. It's definitely like a great, like, interesting indictment in factory farming, and I'm really, God, I wish I could like find an interview in terms of like if there is like a political message. And what's really interesting is that there's this other manga that started recently. Like I was like, as I usually do, I troll around for spoilers before Thursday because I'm a hungry person and I need to be fed.
With manga.
My appetite for spoilers is as insatiable as the demon's appetite for human flesh. And then on the comment board, I saw this interesting thing. There's this manga called Starving Anonymous. I showed Greg a little bit of it. It like frustrates me that like
there's actually some imagery that kind of looks similar to this in Promised Neverland.
Yeah.
What is this?
So basically, the concept of Starving Anonymous is like, it's contemporary world, overpopulation, and like, a global warming is leading to global catastrophe. People are disappearing, and then this average McAverageton goes to a bus, but then everyone in the bus is gassed, and he's taken to the slaughterhouse where like all these humans are being like cut up for meat, and then he like goes into this like breeding pit where like these fat people are just gorging on this like nectar that's coming in through this like tubes, and they're just getting fatter and fatter and fatter for some mysterious purpose, and like he's like in this like fucking futuristic slaughterhouse.
But that's stupid. If you have the nectar, why aren't you just feeding it to people?
I don't know. There's weird shit going on. There's like Cthulhu bug monsters in the thing, and people are being fed. I don't know what's going on.
There's a very few number of chapters translated right now, so that's why Isaac is frustrated.
That sounds pretty fucking stupid. I'll read it if you really want me to, and I can bring it to the table for the next Promised Neverland. But that sounds really fucking stupid. Fucking Soylent Green sounds smarter than that. At least they were eating dead people. Or protesters. I guess they were also eating protesters.
Were they eating protesters in Soylent Green?
I remember I believe in the book that like people start protesting because shit's terrible, and like they like round them all up, and apparently they're being processed into food. So if you dissent in this terrible system, you're then eaten.
Ah, interesting.
So it's like if you have the fucking food, the fuck are you eating people for? The entire point was like they weren't feeding them, they were just immediately dragging them off and eating them because they didn't have food.
Well, I'm not quite sure like if there's a point to any of this. I just know it's like a great hook. Like I want to know. There, Scott, I sent you some images.
All right, let's fucking take a look at this bullshit.
And it seems like very similar, although I assume this is more explicitly political than Promised Neverland's been. But yeah, I'm very pleased that like the horrible children thing. Like yeah, there you go, Scott.
What the fuck am I watching?
Basically, everything that Isaac ever wanted in the manga right now.
If this is... Fuck you. If you have enough money and food to make, like, an entire warehouse of people morbidly obese, why aren't you distributing that as food?
Because it's evil and it mind controls them, and all they do is, like, eat more, and it's... I'm not quite sure what the logic is behind it, but all I know is that there's like weird Lovecraft monsters, and like it's like one of those kind of things where it's like if you throw enough like weird scenarios and monsters, then it gets in my brain. It's like I have to know what's going on here. It is driving me insane. Why isn't this being explained? Explain it to me.
You know what? Sure, I'll fucking read it.
Well, I can't give you any to read it aside from the first chapter, but anyway, it's interesting to see that like this theme is like kind of cropping up in Japanese. Like this is a sort of like trend in terms of like Japanese industry like criticizing the meat industry, or Japanese manga criticizing the meat industry.
God, it's so weird.
Isn't that kind of ironic considering like they are kind of they're kind of ruthless like in terms of they're ruthless in terms of like whaling and stuff, like hunting down whales,
dolphins and
whatnot.
Yeah,
I don't know why they have that like upset. Well, I don't know. Maybe there's like a booming like veganism trend in Japan, or maybe they just don't. They just fucking hate dolphins.
Well, I mean, dolphins are assholes.
Yeah, they do get like a nice rap because they're like cute and friendly, but they are kind of jerky.
They're rapey assholes. Let's just be
I
clear
mean,
on that.
there have been cases of dolphins actually trying to rape people.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, rapey assholes.
Yes.
Man, that's what we should shill this time. We should shill like Flipper.
I don't know. I feel like that's like a little too far. I feel like with the human consumption thing, that there's something closer. But I do love Emma like just feeling utter despair and learning that like this is mass market system. God, I want to see them go there. I want them to go there, and it's like super depressing. And then they see like humans that are like in the like feed cages, and then they're like stalkers from like Half-Life 2 who like supervise the humans or something.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah. Although I'm curious about what the fuck is going on with Musica, because now all of a sudden it's like we've degraded so far. It's like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I feel okay. I have a theory about that. I feel like their natural demon instincts are starting to kick in. They're having that thirst for human flesh, like after all the time that they spent with humans.
What?
And she's like praying to her God, like, please give me strength, to resist this urge to eat the humans, even though we became so good friends with them.
I don't see that at all.
I don't see that either.
Really? Well, what do you think it could be?
To me, it seems like somehow like maybe there's like some sort of thing where like eating the humans uplifts the demons. Because one of the things that frustrates me so much is like Emma, like we got enough good info in this chapter that it definitely was like a huge like turn of events. But like one of the things that frustrates me is like Emma's like on the cusp of like why and of course it becomes like a friendship thing. Emma's like this close to asking like, hey Musica, why the fuck do you look so different than the other demons? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Why is one like a dog monster and another's a giraffe monster and another's like walking around and others big and burly, and then there's the feral thing we saw in the woods? Why the hell do you look like pretty much human?
What's wrong with your face?
Oh God! Can you imagine like a sub pudding thing where like all the other demons think Musica's like horribly unattractive or some bullshit like that?
Oh my God!
God, your face is so smooth. I just want to eat it. Get the fuck away. And like she inspires like the demon equivalent of like incest, which is like cannibalism that's like forbidden. And it's like, oh God, you look so tasty. Get away. Where's the impure thoughts?
On the reverse of that, I was kind of wondering like how Musica was like interpreting all these photos that Emma was showing to her. Like, yeah, that looks like another piece of meat. Yep. This is more food that I'm looking at. Yep. This all looks the same to me.
I
all humans look the same to me.
I kind of imagine it would be like a dog showing
other dogs
pictures of other dogs.
Exactly. It's like if you're like PETA, or a better organization than PETA that saves animals, then the animal like tells you like all these funny stories that they had with the other animals of the similar species and shows you all the photos that they had with all the friends they have, you'd be like, yeah, that's
nice.
Interesting.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I mean,
when are we going to go back to Demon
Affairs? About half of you because we don't have the money to pay for this. How much do you like Phil? I now know exactly which one of them I want to be eaten, though.
Which one?
There's this little kid with a head that looks like an onion.
What?
Is he like the onion guy from like Steven Universe?
I don't know. His head looks like an onion, and I want it to be him.
Okay.
I think I know which one you're talking
I
about.
just need him to be eaten now. That's the one I want to go. His head looks like people food. He needs to be eaten.
Yeah. Here he is. I got an image of him right here. Oh God, you're right. He does look like a fucking onion. Yeah, he's like the textbook of like, yo, let's have weird shapes for
Oh my
character
god,
designs.
I see him too. But okay, that also reminded me about this chapter. Okay, there was a little bit of visual discrepancy that really bothered me.
Oh yeah, so some of the characters looked a little off model.
No,
right?
no.
Showing up too.
No.
I just want him to stick around just to be eaten.
Okay. On page 4 of Promised Neverland.
Alright.
Okay. You see the very first panel of that? Emma and that little blonde girl. Emma's to the left. Blonde girl's to the right.
Okay.
Emma's left ear was the one that was cut off, right?
Oh, well, we've seen that a lot.
Okay.
There have been a few times when they've shown her ear, and then like it's been fine.
Yeah,
Right?
it's even worse now because on the next lower panel, you see the blonde girl on Emma's right side instead of her left side, and she's examining Emma's right ear.
Greg, you try and produce this much art on that much sleep.
Like we firmly know about that in many ways the Promised Neverland, the shonen manga cycle is much like being a child, stuck in the low quality facility. You are just strapped into this room and you are just like forced into this machine that is just designed to churn out manga in a perpetual to infinity until you either break down or you become a millionaire or you fail because you cannot make an engaging piece of work.
All right, now I have an important question though. So, how do they breed new babies in these like?
Really good question.
Didn't they explain that?
It's just like art. My God, I kind of want it to be artificial insemination.
That's what was implied, that like we know that Isabel was artificially, in the Gracefield house and the other plantation house, since we now know that there's like 4 of them. We know that like the good children that get the development and nurturing and big brains are artificially inseminated. But we don't know if like the other ones are like grown in vats, or if they just have like this like, God, maybe they have this like little mother. Do you think they have it like this little other like thing like the cow farm where they just have like women who are like perpetually artificially inseminated so their children can be like taken to the meat farm?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, yeah, I just kind of see that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I can sort of see that. Although I feel like the demons would be like, 9 months, too slow. We need to use our demon technology to just birth fetuses and artificial wombs so we can like keep this shit coming out.
I feel like that would be a process for the low quality kids as opposed to the higher quality.
Of course. The high quality kids, it's all natural. mothers and singing and little pretend houses and orphanages and all that good shit.
Because like with like farms, like that's kind of like how they produce chickens. They have to produce them really quickly, so like much quicker than like how normally chickens grow.
Yeah.
So it's like pretty freaky how they do that.
Good old-fashioned capitalism. Bigger, faster, stronger, more profits, more money. Although I kind of want, it feels like the demons aren't so much like motivated by wealth, just sheer desire for human flesh. They just fucking love it so much. Like nothing could give them as much pleasure. It's still funny that the initial conflict is like, I'm sorry guys, we just like eating you so much, but could you stop attacking us? It's not cool.
Wait, who?
I was just doing like the demon's perspective in that flashback we saw, like because the carnage was so terrible of the humans and the demons attacking each other. But like the demons kind of started it, as far as
I mean,
we know.
again,
Oh, yeah.
it kind of leads back into that. Like, I really have this desire for a slice of life spinoff, because like how we have like happy farms, and like we have commercials with like like cows and farmers, and everybody's so happy and free. And then when you look into like the meat producing industry, everything is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of wonder if the demons have like an equivalent. Like, come on down to Happy Farm, where everything is raised up, right? You just have like a little schoolroom and like a demon like teaching them arithmetic, and like having them like bent over textbooks. Like, you only want the best brains for your family. That's why here at Happy Farms, we go through every effort to make sure that the brains you're getting have been perfectly ripened to create that succulent flavor. And then Happy Farms is just that picture we saw.
I could see that. It wouldn't surprise me if like the high-end plantation, since we now know that there's explicitly 4 of them. That like maybe there's one where it's just like the demons have like tours, so they can like the demons can feel good about themselves. Because I'm sure that maybe there's like some demons who are like, are these humans being ethically raised? I'm not quite sure like if this is good source meat. And no, it's perfectly humane. It's very funny how like similar. Have you either of you heard of the movie Okja? So it's on Netflix. It's a movie by Bong Joon-woo, the guy who did like The Host and Handmaid's Tale and a bunch of other Korean films. He's like considered to be it's not a perfect movie, but it is like kind of a fun, bizarre tonal whiplash. Where basically about this like South Korean girl who gets this like genetically engineered super pig. That's made by like this this company that wants to try and like do this promo stunt to get people to accept to eat their super pigs. And basically she goes on a journey to like save the super pig after it's like called back by the company to be slaughtered. So it's like this weird mix of like criticism of like the meat industry combined with like slapstick comedy and like Amblin Steven Spielberg adventure.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'd recommend watching it when you get a chance. It also feels very kind of like similar to Promised Neverland in terms of like it's, the more criticism that we're getting of the modern, meat only with humans, which we of course.
Hey, Peter, maybe you should actually pay attention to this. I'm just saying that this has me more worried about the meat industry than literally anything you've ever done.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Than picking geeky fantasy world and like trying to throw it under the bus.
Please, just
like
stop.
Die in a fire, fucking PETA. Just like let a new organization birth from your ashes. That's way
I'm
better,
begging
please.
you guys, just fuck off.
And burn all the corporate executives and let all the animals live from the fire.
From the fire of their profits.
Yeah.
And the time spent on those stupid games that you make. Although, Scott, you've seen whatchamacallit. You've seen The King of the Hill, right?
Yeah.
There's this one episode. I want to. God, it's driving me crazy. I want to find the clip where like Hank like joins a food co-op because he's sick of like the terrible meat from Megalomart.
Oh yeah.
So you remember the scene where he's like crying when he's like looking at the steer like being allowed to roam around out in the fields?
Yeah.
I want to get that scene and I want to like just put Emma and Ray's face over the cows. I just want to do that so badly.
I want to see if I can even find it.
I've been trying to find it, but I have not found it yet. Someone has to have it because like there's this new internet subculture because like what happens with Family Guy where like because Adult Swim runs the reruns of King of the Hill so often.
Guys,
like,
in the comments, please post that link to that video if you
please,
can.
if any of you can find it, I'm going crazy. I want to make this thing so badly. My little shit posting video. Please let me make that. I need to find it. I know it's out there. All right, so guys, we should probably get to the scores. What would you rate this chapter?
I'd say an 8.
God, I'm gonna give us. I don't want to give it a 9, but I'm really tempted to. I'm gonna go 8 just because, we are still kind of stuck waiting for shit to happen. But oh my God,
This is a good information dump.
Child farm. Yeah, this is the info dump I wanted.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
2 chapters to go.
Yeah. I'm really pleased with this. It's a 9 for me. That like one image of all the children was like, fuck yeah, because like I think the essential sauce of like Promised Neverland success is like 2/3 sweetness, 1/3 bitter dark fantasy, depraved crap, stirred gently, heat warmly. That's like a part of the series DNA, and like as cute as like fucking oh yeah they're baking food and having fun and oh they're so great. We need like the real shit to happen, and I'm so pleased that like what we speculated on thinking oh they wouldn't do that. This is a show and oh yeah.
Yeah, I was happy about that moment, and at the same time, I do want like them to get the show on the road. I want them to leave that fucking like safe,
hovel.
secure hovel. Like I thought they would have done that by now. This chapter.
Greg, for the guy who loved like we just did our Hunter x Hunter review, and the entire chapter was like 19 pages devoted to capturing a cockroach, and you loved every fucking second.
There was like a great progression with that capturing cockroach.
19 pages devoted to capturing a cockroach.
It was so good. You have no idea. It was so important to the story, Scott.
Like 19 pages in explicit detail of using your magical super spirit powers to take over a cockroach.
The way he did it, he had to outmaneuver the politics of the situation, had to outmaneuver the Nen ability that he was using to fool everybody.
What the fuck am I? What? I mean, what?
I'm sorry, Scott. You'll be so in the dark if we ever talk about Hunter x Hunter around you.
Oh God, I need to watch. I need to read Hunter x Hunter.
That was the entire crux of the chapter. God, I'm not even trying to think of like how could I synopsize it without like going into explicit detail, but like basically there was some extenuating circumstance where like the current character needed to like use an ability to capture a cockroach, or else he'd like be shaving away like years of his lifespan. But he didn't.
Okay, see that's the motivation I needed. It's anime, so I just kind of assume that's fine, and anything that happens will just totally make sense. Catch this cockroach, you're gonna die. Yeah, okay. That's all right. I'll go with that.
But it was a self-restricting thing. Like, he purposely did this self-mutilating kind of power to himself. And he had to use it right away. Otherwise, it would keep on shaving off years of his lifespan.
What?
It's pretty fucking out there.
Why?
Man.
Because in the Hunter x Hunter universe, your power, you can get more power by adding restrictions and limitations to your abilities and make them more versatile and powerful.
It's a long story, but...
So wait, So wait, the more restrictions you add, the more powerful it becomes?
Yes.
Yes, that's the basic crux of like high-level Hunter x Hunter abilities.
So, like, you can only use it while in the dark, on a Thursday... while jerking off on a red apple, that makes you like that basically makes you God or something.
Assumingly, yeah.
Sometimes.
Okay, what? I have an important question. Can you add different restrictions to get different effects?
I think so. I don't know.
Like,
I don't know how the
restrictions work. Let's say I have
work.
the ability to like shoot lasers out of my nipples or something. Okay, let's just go with that. Let's say I have the ability to fire lasers just right out of my nipples. Okay, and this is an okay ability, but not as awesome as I want it. Okay, now let's say like okay, I can only fire lasers out of my nipples if I'm wearing a beanie hat, and that like doubles the distance of my nipple lasers.
Yeah,
okay?
that's effectively how things would work.
But then if I'm like just I don't know, stomping on my own foot, that creates like a shotgun effect where it just like prismatically scatter shots my nipper lasers.
Yeah, I think that pretty much like describes how like the higher levels of Nen work in Hunter x Hunter. The more shit you.
So it's not like just becoming overly specialized to the point of uselessness. It's just adding like additional, I guess, verbal and somatic components, like you're casting a spell.
Yeah, in some ways, yes.
So, like, theoretically, I guess I could just carry around a bunch of random shit on a utility belt that like, increasing restrictions. Like, I can only do this if I have this one little plastic pig and this plastic chicken and a cowbell, and I just, like, wave them around wildly. And that creates the, like, nipper laser barrier field.
Okay.
They have
Sometimes I think the restrictions have to be a little bit more dramatic. Sometimes, like, I can only use this, like, if it's a life and death situation, or
I can
like,
only use this ability on like a few certain people who belong to an organization, and if I break that vow, my heart gets stabbed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, why not, like, have, like, a bunch of different powers that are only useful for very specific situations? Like, okay, I can only use this power if this guy pulls a knife on me. Or else, I don't know, my left toe is cut off. I can only use this other very similar power if someone tries to punch me, or else my right toe is cut off. Like, if we're gonna rules lawyer this, I am gonna fucking rules lawyer this shit. I'm gonna do it hard.
It's funny you say
I
that
am
because
interested in Nen.
because one of the hunter's Nen's abilities is, like, literally, I can only control a small gerbil-sized animal for a certain amount of time. And
what?
Yes.
That's a fucking terrible Nen ability.
I know.
It's the
But you
worst
can imagine,
ability.
like,
Wait,
maybe he's, like,
it's
really
only
not very
gerbil
skilled.
size?
Yeah,
It-
maybe
yeah,
he's not,
gerbil
really
is
not
big-
very skilled
yeah.
in Nen, but he'll be like, okay, since I'm not so skilled in Nen, maybe I should just restrict it to only gerbil-sized animals that I can control.
Wait, does it have to be furry? Does
No.
it have to be a gerbil?
No.
It could
be-
be
it could be an
insect.
Talking, like, what are we talking about? Are we talking general size, weight, mass?
I think general size, like gerbil's the biggest.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
then you can like
gerbil-
any insect below that.
Okay, any insect below that?
Yeah.
Any sort of small animal. Yeah.
Okay,
That's it.
like gerbil or below. So theoretically, I guess I could, like, buy a bunch of poisonous snakes. How far can I control them?
I don't know. Probably like a few hundred,
As far as we
100
know-
meters.
As far as
Well,
we
that's
know,
just- Okay, well, I mean, I guess I wouldn't be, like, the best out-and-out fighter, but man, I would make, like, a great Bond assassin. Like,
You
I
assassinate
would,
people with gerbils.
No, I would fucking buy a bunch of goddamn poisonous snakes, rent the hotel room above your generic super spy, and then, like, in standard James Bond fashion,
They have to be
slip
really
my
tiny
evil
snakes.
poisonous snake through the vent and control him until he's in the bed with him, and then he just bites him and he dies.
Okay.
Or maybe, like, I don't fucking know. Maybe
I was
how
thinking
many
maybe
can I
the
control at
insects
one
or
time?
the gerbils could have, like, Nen abilities too that he could transfer
Oh
over
my
as well.
God. Wait,
They
how
could
many
use, like,
gerbils
Nen, like, chopping people up
Oh
with his
my
Nen.
fucking god! How many gerbils can you control at one time?
I think only one.
You need to watch all the videos to get the context of this.
You can only
I need to know how many gerbils can you fucking control?
One
only
at a time.
one at a
Oh,
time.
that is fucking bullshit.
That's a
Alright,
terrible
fine.
fucking power.
Alright, fine. I guess I would just, like, have a colony of bullet ants then.
So you could use them more versatily. Don't they like really hurt when they bite you?
Yes, it is, like, debilitatingly painful.
No, I think you can only control one animal at a time.
Well, yeah, that's why I would have, like, a colony of them, so I could just pick one bullet ant and control it, and then, like, sneak it into your room or something with my magical Nen abilities and have it bite you, and while you're writhing in debilitating pain, I would just break into your house and stab you to death with a meat cleaver.
Guys, this is why Hunter x Hunter is so awesome. This is like the kind of shit we could come up with.
I want to read Hunter x Hunter.
What?
This is, like, right up. This is just my kind of rules lawyering bullshit.
To get you on the Hunter x Hunter
Scott,
train.
I know
Yeah, it
this
really
is a
is.
manga that you would love. You would love it if you actually got into it.
Well, one last thing to mention. Scott, did you read that, like, fan... Well, I thought it was a fan animation, but I was corrected. That little thing that came at the end of the chapter with, like, William Minerva?
Yes.
So apparently, I thought that was like a really nice piece of fan art, but apparently it's like from the official like Japanese Promised Neverland site. That like yeah. So you basically you go to the website, you like do these like little puzzle things, and then you get that thing as a reward.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I want to do the puzzle now.
So they're starting up their own like, God, what the hell is it called? Now I'm blanking.
Internet campaign thing.
Alternate reality game.
I don't think it's that in depth. I mean, if it was, that would be interesting if it's an augmented reality game. But
fucking awesome.
I don't think it's as in depth as like one of all those famous augmented reality games. But I think it's just sort of like a little interesting Easter egg site because like I don't know. For me though, it seems like there's way too much significance in that in terms of like William Nerva. I'm starting the banner of revolution. And the fact that like the William Minerva silhouette kind of like looks like Norman.
Yeah, it really does. I almost thought that was Norman.
It almost makes me. I had this dumb
Do you guys
theory.
think it was Norman? I want to look at this image again.
It looks really similar. The silhouette looks really
It really does look like Norman. It looks like a grown-up Norman.
It
really does.
You barely get any silhouette at all. You don't even see the top of his head. You can't even see his Norman hair.
Well, of course, that would be the dead giveaway. But the suit, the tie, and that face just feels very Norman-esque.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
So maybe
I don't see it.
Norman is William Minerva is Norman from the future, or hopefully not, because that would be kind of dumb.
I'll be honest. I had that same thought. Like it's like, oh, it's William Minerva. Man, he looks a lot like Norman. Oh God, I hope there isn't time travel. There better not be fucking time travel involved in this.
Yeah, in all the scenarios of like Norman coming back, like I like him being evil or being like in the like a high demon head. I don't want him to like come back and like through time travel or whatnot, or become a good guy.
Yeah.
There are certain situations where I'd welcome Norman's return. There are other situations that would piss me off.
Yeah,
but
if he became like half demon, half human kind of thing, I mean that would be kind of interesting. Or like transformed into a demon, and then had to hunt down the kids. That would still be cool.
Yeah, I would be cool with that. I like the idea because like the demons definitely need a shot in the arm. As cool as their like mincemeat children operation is, their villainy status is kind of like the whole sort of them looking stupidly at those like the sign on the tree is like I don't know what that means.
Although again, kind of like that slice of life situation where it's just like a bunch of fucking rent-a-cop just sitting around going, oh shit.
They wrote a message on the wall. What does that mean?
Hey, Clyde, you know what the hell this is? Fuck, this is above my pay grade, damn it. Get the goddamn dogs, put them back in the fucking SUV.
They have to have English accents. Wait, what does this writing in the wall mean?
I ain't paying enough to know
when
this
did you decide they have English accents?
Because they call them knaves. You bloody knaves.
Well, I mean, they could also have, like, weird, like, Appalachian accents, because that's... Boy, is some of that stuff weird.
Appalachian? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, that's actually, like, really close to what, English would have sounded like in, God, it feels like, it's like the 1700s when we were all basically still like British settlers and all that good shit. That's basically what we would have sounded like. We all sounded like fucking hillbillies.
I need to understand that accent in order to replicate it. But for now, they're just like really dumb, like low class British police or something.
Oh my god.
You know what I kind of want to... I want to see, like, some redneck demons of, like, the raiding parties, like, kidnap all the kids, and then they have, like, oh, we got the high-end goods, you might, and then they're, like, trying to take them back to eat them, but then, like, the demons from the plantation start fighting them, and, that way we can, like, kill a bunch of birds with one stone, we can, like, learn a bit more about demon civilization and get that little more demon slice of life, because obviously that's something we're deathly curious about now, and we really want to see what the fuck is up with them. And plus, I think it'd be an interesting story conflict.
Yeah. So, you guys think there's any chance we'll ever get a fucking Promised Neverland anime?
I think there's a really good chance. I think there's a really, really good chance.
I really hope so, especially for the first season. If it's just for the first, major story arc with the prison escape. If it's just that, I think that would be really, really awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, remember, though, technically Promised Neverland still hasn't even passed a year. So I think, like, around chapter 70 or 80, that's when we'll see the anime announcement.
Oh, God. That'd be cool.
I think I'd be really surprised if there isn't. Like, if one thing that, like, Shonen Jump's, like, brutal Hunger Games survival of the fittest has, become, it's like a perfect, like, training ground for, like, what's, like, the best manga to adapt into a hit anime. And, it's almost like the Spartans, where it's like the weak and sickly die off or are forced to, like, go and die.
Just like those children that were being bred.
Yeah.
Although, so I think we all know what needs to happen at some point in the AMV when we have, like, the demon children chase scene.
What?
We need a sped up version to this.
I can't see that link right now.
Look at Benny Hill theme song.
Oh.
Alright, probably Lobster Magnet should be the last person singing that.
Shut up.
Jesus Christ. You hate music. Why do you insist on this?
I don't know, because it's the only way to articulate the fact that, because, we're not playing it.
I feel like we just post a link in the description that will solve that problem.
Oh.
True. Or who knows? Maybe I'll edit it a little bit of it into the video if I feel up to it. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll do. All right, so.
But yeah, I'm looking at the ratings. Like, Promised Neverland is, like, usually in the top 3. So I'd be very surprised if it doesn't get a anime. It's not a matter of if, it's a question of when.
Where's Dr. Stone in the ratings usually? Do you know?
Here, you know what? You guys should be looking at this. It's really interesting. I always like flashing through this, but here, bam,
look,
bam. It's got all the weeks.
All right, what do we got? What do we fucking got?
What's been like some of the more popular series we haven't been looking at?
Food Wars. Haikyuu is like a really done very, very well. It's a pretty boys like playing volleyball shonen manga. Robot X Laserbeam's done okay. I'm trying to think of like what the other one. Hungry Marie is looking like it's gonna die, which makes me. Well, it was a terrible series. I was kind of rooting for it because it's from the guy who did Beelzebub and.
That was Hungry Marie.
Oh, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. Let me see if I can try and summarize it. Basically, there's like this guy, and he like gets like the spirit of like Maria Antoinette like it's like resurrected by a church.
Fucking
and like
what?
Whenever he gets like hungry, he transforms back into her. Or it's like a body swapped gender romance thing with like some martial arts thrown into it as well.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Just terrible.
It's not very good, and I think it's going to be canceled very soon.
Good.
Black Clover is another one that's been that's getting an anime, but Black Clover is like the most like go look up Black Clover right now and tell me what you think of it, Scott. Just like go to Google image search, like type in Black Clover and see what you think.
All right. What the hell is this? That's pretty generic looking.
It is the most generic looking fucking.
All right, you know what? Sell me on it. I mean, generic is not always bad. Fucking sell me.
What? Like on how I don't
Wait,
know.
is it? Do you see the scar on one of the characters' face? Isn't that the same scar as like the U19 kid? Like the fucking like Stitch scar on his fucking face? I'm talking about the kid with the black hair and the
What the
sunglasses.
hell is this bullshit?
Black and white hair with sunglasses.
I'm not seeing a sunglasses kid. I don't know.
Oh, for God's sake.
Do you
Fuck
not see that?
He aims to be wizard. God fucking damn it.
Google Black Clover.
Just fucking. Oh, God. For fuck's sake. What did you just, like, decide to rip Fairy Tale and One Piece and just drop them together? What the fuck, motherfucker?
It's like something that like it's funny. Like they've had it for a while, and like Shonen Jump has like kind of like pushed it to be their next big thing. But it's getting an anime this in the fall. But like it just feels like an amalgamation of like a lot like.
Oh, we
like,
should totally
like,
watch that anime when it comes out.
We are.
Oh God
we
damn it!
totally
They're
are.
also fucking ripping on God, what the hell is that old series? Damn it! Fucking. Give me a second here. Keep talking. I'll try and remember what the hell it is.
It's a series that they pushed for a while. I don't see much fan culture from it. Like, I don't see any cosplay. I don't see any fan art. I don't see any interesting. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's some discussion of some people who like it because, like, it hits that sort of like, fantasy action adventure like Fairy Tale, and yeah, we'll show those fuckers over at like our rival. God, because like, yeah, Fairy Tale is not published in Shonen Jump. It's published in their rival magazine, Weekly Jump something. 1 second, I'll tell you in a minute.
By the way, I promised my brother I would
Okay, so we should definitely
do
wrap this up.
something.
We've gotten super.
It's sand, motherfucker.
I got an
Sam?
idea of what this show, by the way.
There's an old fantasy series written by Piers Anthony that's basically just kind of like a doopy comedy fantasy series. And one of the first books basically everybody has magical talents if you're born in Xanth. And it follows the journey of this one poor schmuck who's kind of an everyman who doesn't have any. And eventually you find out his magical talent is the ability to negate or ignore other people's magic talents.
Well,
So, like, if someone tries to... And to do so in the most
That's like Blackbeard.
mundane way possible.
Was it like
so,
a
like-
comic or was it like a book series?
No, it's a book series. So, like, if someone shoots a fireball at you, theoretically, you'll either, like, miss you barely or, like, it will explode and you'll just get knocked to the ground but won't be burned. Or, if someone summons a giant monster and tries to kill you, you'll do just the right thing to run away. And sitting here looking at this, like, and the main character has anti-magic and wants to be the Wizard King. Fucking bullshit. I hate you.
That sounds like a really dumb premise for a power. I mean,
Well-
like, in terms of, like, the progression for the main character, I mean...
He's got a cool sword that, like, I don't know, negates magic. I don't know. The entire thing feels like the most, like, cookie cutter, like, what you factory assembled by the book shonen premise that you could, like, throw at. And it's something that, like, Shonen Jump has tried to make stick for a while. And I think it's interesting because, like, the anime is, like, being co-produced by Crunchyroll as, like, an exclusive of theirs, because, like, Crunchyroll is now trying to get into the game of producing original anime as opposed to just, like, having licensing deals to stream them.
Mm-hmm.
So hypothetically,
Literally
a big
just
shonen
feels like Naruto. This just feels like a fantasy Naruto. I don't...
I'd say more like Fairy Tale, but it's like Jump's like, oh, fuck you, Weekly. Yeah, I have the magazine name. Their rival magazine. It's right here. It's Weekly Shonen Magazine. Fuck you, Weekly Shonen Magazine. We can have a fantasy thing as well. You think you're hot shit with your Fairy Tale? That's coming to an end. Seven Deadly
Is
Sins. Yeah. The manga just ended.
Because that felt really generic, too.
Yeah, Seven Deadly Sins. That isn't going to hold it up. We've got Black Clover. We're getting in on this fantasy game. Because the Japanese people love fantasy, action, anime, fun time, or something.
I just want a crossover with Berserk.
Can you imagine that? Like, Guts slaughters the fairy tale universe or something. And like all of the friendship bullshit power-ups are just like, he's able to completely worthless against his sort of like grizzled grit.
I don't know.
Still fucking love the fact that Guts' sword is magic because he's killed so many things with it.
just by sheer willpower, he has a magic sword just because he's killed so many magical items.
Do you need a power-up? Oh my god, that thing is evil. Why do you carry it? What did you do to this?
Alright, so let's wrap this up. Greg wants to go play his game. What should we shill for this?
I know. Feeding tubes.
What kind of feeding tubes?
Well, like medical feeding tubes, if that's... I don't know if they have that on Amazon.
I don't think they do, but... actually, you know what? Yeah, they do have they have feeding tube declogger.
Feeding tube decloggers. So you can cosplay as one of those kids being fed and mass-produced by the demons.
How about just a tube feeding kit? There's a tube feeding kit. It's like really cheap. It's like $5.
Perfect.
You seem you're like breaking up here.
You're breaking up a little bit, but you can see it now.
All right, so feeding tube declogger. That sounds good.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So you got those kids. You're feeding them all the time. But like shit, doesn't work all the time. Those tubes are gonna clog up. Those kids are dumb. They're gonna like spit up. They're gonna like mess up your feeding tubes. And you gotta get like 12 more kids on those feeding tubes. So you need the feeding tube declogger to keep your inhumane food operation going. Because if those like demons at McDonald's know that like their kid meat is like delayed, they're gonna flip the shit out because like they've got like a deal of like kid meat to go along with the new Mulan movie, and they've got like Szechuan dipping sauce promotion for the kid meat. And if you do not get that kid meat there on time, they're gonna like you're gonna lose your job. You're gonna lose your job. Life is gonna be completely fucked up for you. So you got to make sure that you got the feeding tube declogger on lock. So buy the feeding tube declogger. Down there in the Amazon link down below.
Do that.
All
right. So thank you again for watching this whole. I hope you had fun with our random ranting and rambling as we went off into the whole other fun direction as we want to do.
God
like, comment, subscribe, and remember, lobsters and tennis. Don't you grab it.